for the Republicans, right? Not so fast. Despite the GOP's lofty promises, 55% of Americans oppose the tax reform bill, while only 33 favor it. That's a 10% increase in opposition just since November. Reminder, Reagan's super popular tax reform legislation wasn't always popular either. Before passing, it only had 22% approval, according to some polls. So will the country look back fondly on Trump and Republicans for these tax cuts in a few years, or will the GOP pay the price for pushing it through? Joining us now is one member of Congress who has called the plan a scam, Democratic Congressman Ted Lieu of California. Thanks for joining us, Congressman.
Thank you, S.E.
Okay, so tell me why this bill is a scam.
Well, look, Democrats are not opposed to tax reform. We're opposed to stupid tax reform. And this bill is a scam because it's going to raise taxes on millions of middle-class families to provide really large tax breaks for the super rich. It's not paid for. It's going to cause $1.5 trillion in exploding the debt and federal deficit. And it's going to result in $25 billion in cuts to Medicare because of the exploding deficit. So,
yeah, I mean, I get you're not going to like this bill. But the facts are that, according to the Nonpartisan Joint Committee on Taxation, middle-income households between $20,000 a year and $100,000 a year are going to get $61 billion in tax cuts in 2019. Now, another estimate says that families making the median income will get a tax cut of over $2,000 next year. Is the Joint Committee on Taxation part of the scam?
No, but it's inaccurate. So this also depends on where you live. If you live in California, New Jersey, New York, and several other states, your taxes will go up immediately. And then for most Americans, by 2027, all across America, most Americans' taxes will go up because many of these provisions start expiring, but not the corporate tax cuts.
Yeah, but you can just vote to have them not expire, right? I mean, isn't that just incentive to just make them permanent?
Well, then we should do that for the corporate tax cuts, but they don't do that. This is really designed to help the super rich. And keep in mind, it gives a massive tax break for people who right now have estates totaling $11 million. It doubles that to $22 million.
No, Congressman,
so that's the kind of people it applies to.
I completely understand that point, but you're not sharing the rest, which is that a lot of middle-class people are going to get tax cuts. To me, it just feels like you're scaring voters, which strikes me as a little reckless when many of them will benefit from tax cuts next year.
Some will, some won't.
No,
but
many
by 2027,
will. Many will.
Well, again, it depends on where you live. If you live in the 5th largest economy in the world, in California, or the 6th largest, depending on what measure you use,
yeah, people
there are going to have their taxes increase, as well as New York, New Jersey, and other places. That's why Republicans such as Dana Rohrabacher and Darrell Issa voted no on this bill, because they know they'd be voting to increase taxes on their constituents if they have voted yes.
Okay, well, Congressman, stay right there. I just want to go to my table for a second. Guys, who doesn't want a tax cut? Why do you think, Sean, that this bill is as unpopular as it is, reminding people so was Reagan's, and, you know, sometimes these things just take time?
Because there's been so much political noise about it that it's hard for Americans to sift through it all. The fact of the matter is that the Tax Policy Center says that 80% of Americans are going to get a tax cut in 2018, and in 2025, 78% of Americans, middle-class Americans, are going to get a tax cut.
Yeah, I just worry that Democrats might be overplaying this, and when a lot of people feel relief from this in a year or two, they're gonna lose some
Ben Castleman,
credibility on this.
Ben Castleman co-wrote a piece in the New York Times last Friday about how Americans aren't buying the tax plan. And he tweeted, even among people we estimate have a 90% chance of getting a tax break in the bill, almost half don't believe they will be getting a tax cut. Wherever could they have gotten that idea? I mean, I can't imagine. I think the media coverage of this has been fairly abysmal. I do think, look, Congressman Lieu makes a very good point in saying that by 2027, that's not so much the case. But it is the case in the next couple of years that a lot of middle-class people are going to be getting tax breaks.
Well, and Congressman, on that, you know, 2018 is around the corner. I'm sure you know. Is there a concern that at least in the short term, a lot of people are going to feel some relief from this bill, and kind of at the worst possible political time for Democrats?
My colleagues elected me as the vice chair of the DCCC. We are very confident that this tax bill is not good for American people as a whole, but specifically in a lot of these districts where they're moderate districts being held by Republicans, Several of them actually voted no on this tax bill, but some of them voted yes, and I think it makes their re-election very dangerous. And again, because this tax bill is not paid for, it's going to cause massive cuts to Medicare and other programs that many Americans rely and depend on.
That's a fair point, Aaron.
So here's actually something the congressman brought up that I wanted to dovetail with. One thing that concerns me about this is the repeal of the individual mandate in Obamacare. In fact, we don't know how that's going to affect insurance premiums. And, you know, if family making the median income, you get about a $1,600 tax break, which amounts to about $30 a week. If your insurance premiums are going up like crazy, like you can't opt to not have insurance if you have a family with kids. And if we don't know how the repeal of the individual mandate is going to affect people,
So you're making an argument for a bigger tax cut.
what I'm saying is that the tax cut throws into question whether or not people are actually going to have more money in their pockets, because tied into this is this thing that might actually increase their cost of living.
Well, to Aaron's point, I mean, Republicans could have made this more working class friendly. I mean, if you look at just in terms of electoral politics, I think it was a mistake that it wasn't more working class friendly than it already was, you know, in every election over the past, I forget how many years, whether Republicans lose those making less than $50,000 by 10 points or 20 points, that decides whether or not they win or lose every national election.
Well, Congressman, finally, while I have you, news out of the House today that it paid more than $300,000 to settle discrimination and harassment claims against members' offices during a 5-year period. Doesn't the public, the taxpayers who foot those bills, don't we deserve to know who was behind those claims?
Yes, absolutely. And we should not be paying sexual harassment claims out of taxpayers' funds.
Yeah, so are you going to demand that we reveal who those people were and that this program ends?
Yes, I support both of those points that you just made. Absolutely. Keep in mind, sexual harassment is not a partisan issue, and it happens all over America. We need to clamp down on it.
Absolutely. Well, Congressman Lieu, thanks for joining us today. I really appreciate it.
Thank you.
There are new revelations about the Pentagon's no longer secret UFO program.